19-year-old Allie is talking about sexting, and it's something you've probably been hearing a lot about lately.
Sexting.
If you've ever sent or received sexually provocative pics, you should know that there's a thin line between private flirtation and public humiliation.
You wouldn't think that something could spread that far that fast.
On this MTV News special presentation, you'll meet two young people whose lives were turned upside down by their digital drama.
Went in her email, I uploaded a couple pictures, and I just hit the little select all button.
Allie reveals the devastating impact of a single topless photo which fell into the wrong hands.
In the hallway, they would call me whore, slut, hoe.
And 20-year-old Philip explains how one rash decision led to a harsh criminal conviction.
I'm extremely sorry, but it's more punishment than I deserve for what I did.
That's next on Sexting in America, when privates go public.
This is where I went to high school. In the beginning of high school, things were good. I got good grades. I had a lot of friends. I was popular. I had a boyfriend. And I was a really good girl. My sophomore year, me and my boyfriend broke up, and so I was upset about it. Because when you're young, you think like, oh, I'm gonna be with this person forever. 1 month after we broke up, he sent me a text message that he would get back together with me if I sent him a naked picture.
Even though nearly everyone has heard of sexting, a lot of you aren't really sure what it is.
It's inappropriate, I'll tell you that. Yeah, it's when you send like a text message. It's usually like a picture message.
Sexy texting, I guess, just contains sexual grammar and things you want to do with each other. Yeah.
Any sexual thing that you do through texting, pictures, or conversation that might get intimate. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It's kind of like phone sex, but with text messages. Like big messages with a few nasty words, I guess, right?
Close, but sexting isn't flirty talk, or even dirty talk. Sexting is sending sexually explicit photos from your cell phone or computer. So, when Allie's ex-boyfriend asked her to send him a naked photo, he was asking her to sext him.
After the breakup, I was feeling rejected and extremely vulnerable. Having him ask me for the picture, it made me feel wanted again, even though it was completely out of character for me. He just did it. My two best friends, Amanda and Casey, were with me. I didn't want to send them my whole self, so I was in the middle, and then Casey was right here.
I was on this side,
and
then I took the picture. I guess it would seem weird that Allie didn't have a shirt on and me and Amanda were next to her in the picture, but to us it was completely normal.
We were just laughing about it at the time.
It meant nothing to see each other without our clothes on, and not in a weird way, just in like a best friends kind of way. Like we thought nothing of it at all.
When I took this picture, it was intended only for my ex to see and nobody else. The picture getting out never crossed my mind.
Girls are surrounded by technology all the time. There's their cell phone, there's IM, there's computers, and they're plugged in constantly. And when you're that plugged in, you are vulnerable in so many ways. And more girls are finding themselves sort of backed into a situation where they feel pressured to take naked pictures. That's when it feels like manipulation, and that is scary stuff.
According to a recent poll, 29% of young people have reported being involved in some type of nude sexting. Once Allie sent the photo to her ex-boyfriend, the ball was in his court. He could forward, delete, or keep the photo to himself. But 1 in 5 sext recipients say they forwarded the images on to someone else.
I'll ask a few girls to send me a little provocative picture here and there, you know. I passed it on to like my brother or whatnot, but that's about it.
I didn't forward it or anything. Like I didn't keep it in an archive or anything.
I don't forward that stuff.
Like delete.
I would have forwarded the message or the picture line to other of my friends that are girls just for laughs.
Receiving a sext can be a sticky situation, and according to one prominent cyber lawyer, there's only one way to handle it.
If you get an unsolicited sexting image, delete it.
and make sure that other people know that you're not willing to accept them, you're not going to forward them along, and you're not going to be part of the problem.
The next day was a cheerleading competition at the high school. We were in the stands, and a kid was sitting behind us, and he pulled out his cell phone and he was like, "Isn't this you in this picture?" And that's when we realized he ended up sending it to everybody in his contact list.
Okay, so sending sexually explicit photos of yourself is probably never the best idea. But if you're being pressured by someone to send a picture, the authors of the book Flirt-Texting have some advice.
Olivia and I both moved to the city, and we were single, going out. We started noticing all these guys would get our number, and instead of calling us, they were texting us. So we kind of came up with this formula of how to make texting work in our favor, and it became very fun to text and flirt text.
We recommend living by the motto, less is more.
So if someone's pressuring you to send a sexy photo, which you're not gonna do, a way to kind of get around that is to do something funny. Send a photo of your elbow and say, "Hey, guess which body part this is from?" Or go to your Victoria's Secret catalog and take a picture of that and say, "Here you go, here's your sexy photo."
The nature of a sext message is that it's digital. And when it's digital, it can go anywhere.
Assume that any photo text that you send to anyone will be forwarded to a guy's entire soccer team, and realize that when you're taking a photo. Texting is fun and flirt texting is fun, but sexting is dangerous. The party ends there.
Next, Rihanna and Pete Wentz tell us what happened when they're
Getting like text messages from people, they're like, you know, like, why did you on the internet?
and Allie's picture gets into the wrong hands.
The principal called me down because he had heard about the picture. He was like, "All right, well, I have to call your mom."
You wouldn't think that something could spread that far, that fast.
Sexting in America, when privates go public.
Text me back something freaky.
From R. Kelly and Soulja Boy,
Baby girl sent the picture to my BlackBerry.
to Beyonce, everyone seems to be talking about sexting.
Please don't send out that picture. It's gonna ruin my life.
Even public figures like Tiger Woods, Kim Kardashian, politician John Edwards, Paris Hilton, basketball player Greg Oden, and the former Miss California Carrie Prejean have all been involved in notorious sexting scandals. When rocker Pete Wentz got caught with his pants down, he learned just how public digital photos can become.
How did you find out that this had happened?
I just got going. I was driving around. I started getting like text messages from people. They're like, you know, like, why did you on the internet? Like our website, because it's going to be really bad on our website, you know, whatever. Then I realized it was a lot bigger than our website. This is too much. This is like the wrong kind of attention.
So you weren't freaked out, or? Trust me, I was. It was like the worst thing that could possibly ever happen. It was humiliating and embarrassing, especially my mom having to see that, and it was 2 days before Mother's Day, so I was like nervous. I sent her flowers first before I called. She was just like, "You're an adult and you're gonna have to deal with things that adults deal with."
Even though it may seem like nearly everyone is involved in some kind of digital hanky-panky, when your private photos fall into the wrong hands, you can suddenly feel very alone.
1 month after me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, he sent me a text message and said that he would get back together with me if I sent him a naked picture.
Allie posed topless with her two fully clothed best friends, and they sent the picture to his cell phone.
This is the spot right there where my ex-boyfriend and his two friends stood pointing at me and laughing, and that was the moment that I knew that the picture had gotten out.
I didn't think that Allie's picture was gonna be sent because, like, she trusted him.
You wouldn't think that something could spread that far, that fast.
By the end of the week, the whole school pretty much had it.
I felt really betrayed because it was only meant for him. I was embarrassed that everybody had seen it, and I was ashamed that I had done it.
A According to a recent MTV poll, 77% of young people say they would be very upset if they had private photos or information shared.
If a picture of me was sent to the old school, like, I would just feel like my whole image was ruined. Like,
That's what I'm saying.
Like, people would just look at me weird when I come in a room, like they know something about me.
I would probably change my school. I would feel really embarrassed walking on school and knowing that everybody know how my body looks like.
Because if one person knows, everybody knows, and then you would think everyone's staring at you because they saw you.
Yeah.
Going in class, people would look at me like, oh, I saw that kid naked like 2 days ago. What was he thinking?
I would be hysterical. Like, I would probably drop out. Like, I would go to a different school. I would not stay here.
The principal had called me down because he had heard about the picture from one of the teachers, and I denied it because my face wasn't in it. He was like, all right, well, I have to call your mom and tell her about it anyway.
When I got home, I went to Allie and I said, Allie, you have to tell me the truth. You have to tell me the truth. I mean, just don't lie. Please, just tell me the truth. And she kept saying it wasn't her. If it's really not you, we're going to go to the police. And I want them to figure out who this is. Not fair that you're getting the blame for this. And that's when she finally burst out crying and said it was her.
Having your explicit photo passed around town is bad enough, but once it hits the internet, it can end up in places you've never imagined.
Taking a provocative picture on your cell phone is a very bad idea, simply because that picture may automatically be synced to the World Wide Web on your cellular account.
Every day, sexting pictures are stolen and sold on the digital black market to drive underground websites. If you power up your cell phone and you put anything on that cell phone that you wouldn't be okay with every single person in this world seeing, then you're using digital technology irresponsibly. And what is going to happen to your picture? That's unknown.
Next, Allie can't escape her photograph.
They would call me whore, slut, hoe. I was always scared that I was gonna get beat up.
And one teen's bad decision lands him on the sex offender list.
Went in her email, I uploaded a couple pictures, and I just hit the little select all button.
Sexting in America, when privates go public. When 16-year-old Allie sexted her ex-boyfriend,
I was in the middle.
I was on this side, and then I took the picture.
He forwarded her topless photo to all of his friends. She was devastated.
I felt really betrayed because it was only meant for him.
She had no idea just how bad things would get as the picture made its way around her high school.
The harassment just started immediately. Kids in my school were really brutal and terrible to me. In the hallway, they would call me whore, slut, hoe. A girl stood on a table in the cafeteria and she was like, Allison is a whore. Girls would threaten me either on the computer or they would send me text messages. So I was always scared that I was gonna get beat up.
According to a recent MTV poll, 68% of people do or say things digitally that they wouldn't do in person.
I went to high school with Allie and sent her a really angry text message saying the same thing that pretty much everyone was saying, calling her a slut and a whore. Over IM, I did threaten to fight her because when my boyfriend received that picture, I was really angry with her. That's not something that I wanted my boyfriend to see.
Someone rolled a tire down my front lawn and into my glass door.
At one point in time, there was a tire rolled evidently all the way down a big hill. Actually went up and damaged the awning here, which you can still see some evidence of that. Come to think that was a result of this whole incident.
The picture really affected my entire family. We had to go to therapy for it.
Because of Allie's sexting incident, she suffered a lot of consequences. Being tormented at school, she suffered anxiety. These sort of incidents leave scars that can affect somebody throughout their lifetime.
Sexting is a largely growing legal problem, and the laws just can't keep up with the technology. A photo that starts off as flirtation can quickly become a federal offense.
If the images are taken of somebody under the age of 18 federally in the United States, they can constitute child pornography. If you take a picture, you can be accused of producing child pornography. If you send it to somebody, you can be accused of distributing child pornography. And if you keep a picture, you can be accused of possessing child pornography. Anywhere along this chain of transmission of the images, you can be charged as a registered sex offender.
Believe it or not, many sexting teens have been slapped with child pornography charges, including 20-year-old Orlando resident Philip Albert.
I started dating my ex-girlfriend the last day of 9th grade, and we were together for a really long time. She sent me naked pictures when she was 16 and I was 17. I don't even think that I asked for them. A month after I turned 18, we just got in a big fight. She called me in the middle of the night and left like this really nasty message. I got up in like 3-something in the morning. I had her email and I just went into her email, I uploaded a couple pictures, and I just hit the little select all button. And I hit send, and I went back to sleep.
Because of Philip's rash decision, his 16-year-old girlfriend's nude photos were sent to over 70 people, including her friends, teachers, parents, and grandparents.
Philip was then arrested for child pornography distribution, was put on 5 years probation, and required to register on the public sex offender list.
I've been registered as a sex offender for about 2 years now. My name and my information is available to anybody. This has everything from my hair color, my eye color, my weight, my exact address, which is great. I've actually had a lot of neighbors come to my door before, and they were coming to check to see if it was safe for their kids to play around outside, with me here. I'm not allowed to live near a school or playground or church. I live here by myself, though I feel it'd be much easier on me to live like maybe with my dad, but he lives too close to a high school. The college I was going to sent me a letter that says I'm not allowed to go back there because I'm registered as a sex offender. I don't have a job. I can't find anyone who wants to hire me. Back there is where I go to my weekly sex offender treatment class. Usually we just talk about almost common sense things like literally why it's bad to rape someone. To go to a sex offender treatment class designed to treat sex offenders of their deviant sexual urges towards children is not something that applies to me, yet I'm still forced to go and to pay to go every week.
Philip will be on the sex offender registration list for decades. And what we're trying to do is convince the court that Philip should be removed from the sex offender list because it's not related to the kind of offense that he committed, and it is preventing him from becoming a productive member of society.
I'm extremely sorry for what I did, but the sex offender thing, which is going to last until I'm 43, that I think is overkill. It's more punishment than I deserve for what I did.
For information on laws about sexting, go to athinline.org. Next, Allie tries to put the photo behind her.
No matter what, the picture is always there in the back of my mind. This is the biggest mistake of my life.
Sexting in America, when privates go public. Although Allie was humiliated by her sexting incident, she was fortunate that no legal action was taken. Both she and her ex-boyfriend could have gotten into serious legal trouble. Allie for production of child pornography, and both Allie and her ex-boyfriend for distributing it.
I didn't know that it was against the law when we took our picture, but it's really scary to think of all the trouble that we could have gotten into.
We didn't go to the police because I didn't know if Allie would get in trouble. I wouldn't want her ex-boyfriend, as angry as I was at him, to go to jail or anything like that. He was still young too.
I'm doing the best I can to move forward. I'm enrolled in college. I have a new boyfriend now. He doesn't like the fact that there's a nude picture of me still out there, but he's completely understanding about it.
When the picture came up in our relationship, I tried to be as delicate as I could about it. She went through a lot of stuff she shouldn't have gone through.
He respects me and would never ask for me to send him a naked picture. Having my family, my friends, and my boyfriend has really helped me. But no matter what, the picture is always there in the back of my mind. This is the biggest mistake of my life.
Fortunately, Allie was able to move on, but other teens have had more lasting effects, from getting kicked off the cheerleading team to suspension to being a registered sex offender. And in the worst case scenario, 2 teens committed suicide because they could no longer endure the harassment the sexting brought upon them. If you or anyone you know is involved in a sexting situation and needs help, go to athinline.org. In the end, it's definitely better not to take a provocative picture if you want it kept private. The photo can live on the internet, cell phones, and personal devices for a lifetime. There's a very thin line between private and public. So before you sext and send, take a minute and consider where your photo might end up.